Hey you! I'm Krista Rutherford. I am with 217 Recovery Podcast, and this is the very first episode of Steps We Take. I am so excited for this opportunity to share with you my experiences in, this road to recovery, this journey that I'm on, and part of that includes dealing with mental health, mental illness, and definitely my past has some relapse in it. That's part of my story too. And trying to navigate through creating a new support system after moving 1,500 miles away from home. And so I'm so thrilled and excited that I get this opportunity. But first, I want to tell you about my plan. So here's the thing. I was going to take this opportunity, this first episode, to sit down and tell you all about my experience, strength, and hope. Tell you all about what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like now. And this thing just started happening. Fear. And let me tell you, I'm an alcoholic. I have the disease of alcoholism. I also have the added bonus of wrestling with mental illness. And so, every day I wake up and I have choices to make. And after I hit my knees, it is up to me. I have to convince myself every day that I can do this. You got this. You are worth it. You are worthy. You deserve, like, all of these things that my disease will tell me that I shouldn't have. And I planned on sitting here and telling you my whole story. And as it turns out, that's pretty frightening to me. So I just want to start navigating and moving through that. And I'm going to start off by telling you about how I am sitting here with a microphone in front of me for the first time in my life. A little bit about me first. I am a recovering alcoholic. I am 37, and I am originally from Detroit, Michigan area. I have recently relocated to Fort Myers, Florida, and I have found an amazing recovery community down here, and as well as still have a great foundation back in Michigan. So that brings me to 217 Recovery. I had the fortunate opportunity to travel back to Michigan a month ago, and I got to see some family, and I was able to reach out and help a family member who had recently relapsed get back to life and get back in touch with what God's will was for her. And that was such a beautiful thing. And so when I went, I was able to surprise my mom. And I did something that I normally don't do. I recorded it, and I put it up on good old Facebook. And I just thought, this is going to be something nice for my family to see, and it was really sweet. And I'm very, on my Facebook, I'm very open about my recovery and about my journey with God and what His plan is for me. And I'm always very open to trying to help people and just telling my story. So I've been really open about that. So I don't know, out of the blue, I got like a Facebook Messenger message, and it was from this 217 Recovery podcast. And I thought, all right, well, we'll see what this is about. And it was a gentleman named Corey Winfield, who is, the originator of 217 Recovery. And he had asked me, he said, what, not to sound like a creeper, Corey, but I heard that you have a pretty cool story, and I was wondering if you would be interested in coming and being on my podcast, and if I could interview you. And I think that you would do really well. So what do you think? And I was like, me? Little old me? You wanna talk to me? You wanna hear my story? All right, I'll do that. So we took a little bit of time to just kind of get to know each other before we actually, would jump in and do the interview. So the thing is, I had so much stuff going on, I ended up not being able to sit down and do that interview. So, okay, fast forward, I come back down to Florida, and I still stayed in contact with 217 Recovery and Corey, and I still continue to listen to their podcast because it's actually really cool. And out of the blue, again, Corey contacted me and said, you know what? I was actually really inspired by some of those videos and how you reach out to people. And I was wondering if you would be interested in having your own podcast. Now, immediate fear set in. I was like, no, I don't know. And then I thought, wait a minute. I've been praying for a way that I could, tell my story and it maybe, be effective. Maybe I could, reach someone that's going through the same stuff that I'm going through because, listen, I am goofy. There's something that my friends and my family call it's just a Krista thing. Okay, these are things that happen to me that don't happen to like normal people. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy, he obviously doesn't know me, so I'm just gonna say, okay, buddy, like we'll go with this, and I'll say, okay, yeah, we'll do this. So I did. I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And so he started asking me questions like, well, what are your favorite colors? And so I said, well, I really like purple and I like teal. And so then about an hour later, he shoots me this rough draft of what a podcast logo would look like with my favorite colors. And I thought, okay, this guy's jumping the gun a little bit, but it's cool. I'll go with it. But the best part of the story actually is when he texted me and asked me if I would do this. He loves telling the story, but here's my side of the story. When I replied to him, I meant to reply, this is going to be so awesome. But instead, my phone auto-corrected and said, this is going to be so sexy time. Again, okay, this is just one of those things. It's a Krista thing, right? So he replied with like this quizzitive, one of those emojis like, what the heck? And I was mortified. I said, oh my gosh, you don't even know me. I did not mean sexy time. And he asked me, I just want to know how many times you're actually writing sexy time versus awesome, that it's going to recognize awesome over sexy time over awesome. So of course there I was mortified even more. But anyway, so the podcast originally started off as a joke being 217 Recovery Sexy Time. So if you ever see that pop up anywhere, that's where that came from. So immediately we jumped off on like this really awesome start. And then, so now I'm in this position where I've got this guy back in Michigan who's got this, I think it's a successful podcast. So, I'm looking up to him and he's sending me these materials and these informations about how to do a podcast. And, I don't even have, an Instagram or a Snapchat. I think I'm going to die with my Facebook. I don't know. But so I'm technologically not advanced at all. So all of this is new to me. So he's sending me this information. He asked me for my address to send me more information. And then before I know it, there's this microphone in my mailbox. And I'm like, oh no, this guy's for real. And so I did not have any time to let fear take over, to self-sabotage. I don't know if you know anything about self-sabotage, but I am the queen of self-sabotage. So I didn't have time to do any of these things. And God bless you, Corey. But I was just terrified. So I did the next thing that I know to do. And for me, that is to be accountable. And for me to be accountable, it's telling someone my truth. Like, okay, this is what's going to happen. So what did I do? I made a Facebook page for the podcast, and then I recorded a message, a video message, and I put it up there. And then I invited 5,000 people to come like it. So I figured, but for sure, if I put this podcast thing up there and I have this video and it's going to hold me accountable and I'm going to do it. Yeah, guess what? Going back to those isms, my perfectionism and this fear of failing and this fear of success was setting in. And the more that I thought about, what this podcast could mean to me and what it could mean for other people and how this was really going to play out, I let the fear really take a hold of me, and I didn't allow myself the ability to move forward and to really sit down in front of this microphone and be myself and be vulnerable. And in all of this, that is exactly, what I'm looking for. I really just I do want to share my experience, strength, and hope. And I do want to talk about, everyday normal things that happen in our recovery. And one of the things that I'm focusing on right now is turning my will over to God. And that to me has been so important in this phase, in this season of my recovery, and showing gratitude every day for the amazing things that I've had in this. If you are not a person that is recovering from a substance, maybe you are recovering from a toxic relationship, or you just don't really know how to navigate some guilt and shame or a codependency issue. Maybe creating a support system, maybe starting here is really what would help for you. I know for me, I am going to continue on this journey and try to really be sure of what my intentions are and not let this fear, rule me and play too much into, this really scary new venture. Because it's my understanding that fear has no power unless you assign it to something. And so me sitting here in front of this microphone, as terrifying as it is, I feel like once you bring a fear into the light, it no longer has the darkness. So I just want to say thank you for listening. We're going to be doing some really awesome stuff with Corey, and I'm going to be inviting some guests to come and speak. Maybe eventually we'll do some live broadcasts on Facebook and have some interaction with people who are listening. I'm very, very open to any suggestions that anyone has. But, right now, that's me. And I'm just, again, I can't say this enough. I'm so excited to be on this journey and move forward and, no more fear. And I just want to remind you, this is going to be the most important thing. You are enough. Just keep that in mind. If you're struggling, if you're winning, you are enough. You got this. Love and God bless.